Hello and welcome to Parousia Roundtable. I'm Charbel, Raish, your host, with our co-hosts, or fresh from overseas and different trips. It's been a while since we've been back, but here we are finally back together, the awesome foursome, if you like. But Father Ben Saliba, how you going?
Good to be back.
Yeah, fresh from seeing Pope Leo.
Fresh from seeing Pope Leo. What a surreal experience that was.
Oh my goodness, what an honor.
Yeah.
Can't wait for you to share that story. But good to be back in our new office. And Anthony Salame also been overseas.
Yes, I was overseas. Went and visited a few countries in the Middle East region.
Wow.
It was nice. I can confirm with everyone it's all right over there.
Okay, that's good to know.
It's good to be back, though. Good to be amongst you beautiful people.
Yeah, awesome. And then Helena, how you been non-stop yourself?
Yeah, keeping busy. Mum life. Yeah.
Mum life, yeah.
I did a little stint to Rome as well. I got
Wow.
to see the Pope, not as close up as you, Father Ben, but, drove past me in the Pope mobile.
That's pretty cool.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Drive by, yeah, sure.
When was that? Was that with the youth?
The Jubilee of Families.
Okay, wow.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
End of
beautiful.
June.
So a lot to share. Now, I think since our last time, it's been May. So
been a while.
we had the Brazil trip, Brazil, Colombia, and then Philippines and Papua New Guinea. So that's also, so between us, I think we've hit about 8 countries.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9
I think,
countries.
did we hit every continent except Africa?
Yeah,
I think
probably between us. Sure. Also, just before we continue, we are celebrating 20 years at Perusia this year.
Wow.
20 years. I cannot
Congratulations.
believe it.
God bless
thank
you.
Praise God. But it's been an amazing journey. And this year in particular with A1 and hello A1, how you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning. Here's the man behind the scenes.
He's so good looking. You should be in front of the camera, you know.
I should have you at my house a bit more.
Anthony's the hype guy. He's
He's
the hype guy.
There's a reason why they call him a comedian.
Hey, that's just all. I thought that was one of the joke-free moments.
We've got more to say about dad jokes because he is a dad and big news as well. And the show's going to share. I can't wait for you to share it.
You pretty much
about
just gave
being
it
a-
away. So.
But anyway, we'll see. He already is a dad. We'll see. But yeah, 20 years and Anthony, it's only, I mean, this year's been amazing so far, as we mentioned, but the content has just been pouring out ever since January 1 and praise be to God, it's just growing and growing and growing. It's been amazing.
Can I ask? I mean, 20 years. First of all, congrats. That's God bless you. What an achievement, especially your ministry. What you have done here at Parousia is phenomenal.
Thanks be to God.
I mean, just reflecting back on when you launched it, what did Parousia look like 20 years ago compared to how it is now?
Yeah, my goodness. It was in my lounge room. So I was not yet married. So I was not even yet engaged. I was about to propose to Christine. And I remember setting it up. I had Anthony Suka there in the wheelchair. He's a quadriplegic. And we coded the website, parousiamedia.com. And I remember getting the first set of CDs, 20 CDs. And literally my mother was there helping me pack them. So we went to outsourced it to a company that would record them, label them, and then we would pack them in these cases. My mum was there on the dining table, and that was the very first one. And once word spread, Scott Hahn CDs available, people started contacting me one by one. My first order was with Anthony Cleary at CCD, Confraternity of Christian Doctors. So they were the first official customer. And I remember taking a tub in the boot of the car, went to see Anthony Cleary, and he just got 2 of each, and that went on the bookshelf. And we would meet every few months, and I would just have a lunch with him and catch up. But he won't admit this. It's a long time ago, but he was on my back to make sure this got off the ground. So I remember sharing this. I'll shout out to Father James Foster from up in Kempsey. He was in the seminary with me, and so we stayed in touch. And when he came to visit Sydney, he said we should get a Sydney Catholic bookstore that has all these great things. At the time, Mustard Seed was just sort of beginning. I remember Father Flata was there, and they were really bringing in more books, but the CDs were a bit light and DVDs, and they were limited with some of the suppliers and the vision of having all the great speakers and authors. And so Father James Foster, we had a meeting with Anthony Cleary early 2005, and then I just had this phone call conversation with Ruben Cazada, because I tried to get CDs for myself. And I said to Anthony, we can manufacture the CDs, pay a royalty, and produce them in Australia and keep the cost low. And he says, so you can like just do it locally and we don't have to worry about getting them in from America. I said, yeah. I said, can you follow up on that? And then he kept on my back. And then I said, that's fine. And I thought I was just doing this for the CCD. I said, here's what you do. There you go. Good luck. And he said, no, Charbel, this is your idea. You need to do this. Oh, no, I got a lot going on. I just went back to uni because I was out of the seminary. I had to start my life. That first 6 months out of the seminary, probably the most difficult in my life.
Wow.
It was almost like, as you know, Father, you're in the seminary, you're in a train, and you're giving your life to God, but then the world is moving fast. Felt like the treadmill's moving, and I was lifted off the treadmill. The world moved, and I stayed. And I was placed back on, way behind, and I was like 6 months. It was just trying to find my feet. I remember how hard that was. But then after that 6 months, that's when all these meetings started happening.
Yeah.
And then in the end, prayed about it. Anthony Suka was there. We came up with the Greek name Parousia, which means initially the second coming is what the Oxford Dictionary says, but also the presence of Christ. And we got going, registered ParousiaMedia.com 20 years ago, had Anthony Cleary there. So thanks to Anthony Cleary, Anthony Suka, Father James Foster, all these characters at the start, Father Chris Alexander, may he rest in peace, and another first donor, Pierre Jaja, who was there, who helped donate towards the cost of the first round of duplicating the CDs. So all those characters at the start were a big part of this 20-year history.
Yeah. It's amazing to hear that it started you with a box of CDs from your boot, like you and 50 Cent started the same way. You know what I mean? Charbel, Raish and 50 Cent. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful story. God bless you, brother.
And we've gone full circle. 20 years later, here we are back at home, but in a different format. So this office is where I live, but it's a separate building, and it's an honor to be. But looking back on 1 year in your life is one thing, 10 years is another, but 20 years, you get a lot of perspective. And it makes you think, wow, how much it's come, and praise be to God, like what's going on. And now the best is yet to come. That's what's so exciting about this this time we're in.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And everyone's played their role, you know. And we've known each other for a while, Father Ben. I can't remember how far when we first met. Was I already in Revesby? I'm trying to think. Our first.
I did visit your shop in Revesby.
Yeah, so that was.
I remember buying CDs from you.
11.
Yep.
That's a good 15 years.
Yeah.
15 years ago.
And I mean, I think I'm a bit of a poster boy for what Parousia can do to a person's life.
Wow.
Because even now, I've walked in and you're talking to me, and I've got one eye on you, and I've got one eye on the books that you're releasing, and it's always dangerous when I walk into your space, because I want more books and more resources, because we're all constantly learning. And Parousia, I think, has been pivotal to so many people's lives in that 20 years. The CDs, and you've had to evolve as well.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think cars have CD players anymore.
That's right.
But look at what you're doing, digitizing, doing other bits and pieces. So you're definitely on the treadmill now, moving with people at the pace that they're moving at, which is fantastic. And then, I mean, I'm a little biased, but A1 over here, he, the work that he does and is able to produce consistently and in short turnaround, I think has been key to what is phenomenal growth in the online space this year.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're looking at some of these percentages, for someone to have a 700% increase in online activity, unheard of.
Yeah.
Unheard of. And look at the way it's all just come together.
Yeah.
God's really got his hand on all of this, I believe.
Praise be to God. We should share, A1, do you mind, for the sake of the podcast, can we share some of what's happened just digitally, just roughly?
You may. Sure. And it's actually the 700% growth. That was 1 month, but there was a few months back when it was 1,600% growth.
Yeah.
That's just, you can never expect these things, it's just the glory of God. None of this makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And it's only, there's intervention, like there has to be something, because it's not normal.
Isn't that so refreshing and so beautiful, though, just to see how many people have a hunger for the faith, and how many people have a hunger to hear other people speaking about the faith and sharing their stories, their testimonies, homilies, just whatever it is. They're just eating it up. And sometimes in the world that we're living in, we can kind of, get a little bit distracted of all the negative that's going on. But you hear things like this 1,600% growth in a month of people, yearning for that content. It's very refreshing, and it's quite heartwarming to know that we are headed in the right direction. Sometimes you've got to block out that negativity that we hear about so much.
I think the other thing is it is beautiful to see. Sometimes it's really sad to see, because if you read through the comments, it's just always a reminder of how many broken people there are. And they're really, one of the great things about the social media side is that they're not expecting, a lot of times they're just swiping up and they're lost in there swiping the doom scroll, and they'll get something that's just fed them so well. But then they're compelled to write a real little reflection as a comment. And it's just, some of those ones, especially Father Chris Ayler and Father John Yakino, just some of the comments, especially on TikTok, which is, I've always thought of that place as a dodgy place, I think. I'm just always surprised. And it's just how broken some people are. And so it's at least nice to be able to put something out that offers some sort of maybe a little seed for some potential healing or a different way to think about things.
Pastorally, I think it's given me a bit of a shot in the arm as a priest, because when a person's prepared to make a public comment about how broken they are, you probably can see, okay, that's a lot of people in the world are like that, and they might not, they were looking for an outlet. That's why they felt compelled to leave a comment. But imagine the people that are sitting in the pews every Sunday and they're not commenting online, and they're just going about their business, and it's made me, I think, a little more sensitive to the way people are, and my time with people as well, being a lot more attentive to them, knowing that all of that is happening underneath.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it has its place, and even if you get comments online, whether they be positive or negative, I think what it's done for me is made me a little more sensitive to the human condition, more than I have been before.
Yeah, that's so good. The variety, we're talking about people from all over the world, all ages, and we're not talking about a dozen or a few hundred comments. They're in the tens of thousands of comments. So we've got so much data now over the last 8 months alone. The amount and we're seeing, and thanks be to God, most of it is positive. But those ones who are hurting, they do definitely wake you up a bit. And it's great to know that some of the content was really helping them. One of my favorites was someone who mentioned how that video spoke to them so much that it helped them go through their suffering and ease their pain. And just by one little clip.
It was a cancer patient, yeah. That was the Father John Yakino. That line when he says, "When we are weak, we are at our strongest," and those sort of things. And from what I've been told, the office here received lots of emails afterwards from that video as well. And I guess it's the opposite of, we talk about keyboard warriors, people that are just warriors with the keyboard. These are people that are keyboard sufferers. They may not be happy to verbalize what they're saying, but in the moment when they watch a video, they can use the typing to maybe reach out or express something, in a positive way, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know there's so many comments, and if you ever are going through one of those videos and you see a comment of someone hurt and broken, maybe that's a good opportunity for us just to say a little prayer for that person.
Yeah,
it's an opportunity where we would never know about their suffering, or so maybe we can take that as an opportunity.
And that's the beauty of the Catholic community, again, and even the Christian community, is when those comments do pop up, the side comments, replies, and we're praying for you and things like that. It's wonderful.
It's the best.
So good. So I remember when we first had to focus just on YouTube, but then made a last minute call to say, let's just share it on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, the Reels at least. And it's been great. And we spoke about this already in the first month. And remember, in 19 years of content, I don't think we reached as many. We reached as many people in 19 years in the first month. So it was about 3 million people digitally online we reached. And I remember writing in December how awesome that was. Praise be to God, 3 million people. And then by the end of January, we already eclipsed that. And it was like, what is going on? And now 8 months later, we can say confidently across the 4 platforms, it's closing in on 70 million, looking at the 4 platforms, 70 million. So I don't know what percentage growth that is. What is 3 million times? Is it times 20?
I believe
something?
Father Ben's the mathematician.
So
Over to you, Father Ben.
2,000%.
Let's
Can you
go.
edit in some math symbols and stuff near his head
Lissy,
right now?
you're touching on a very sensitive part of my life here. I had a year 5 teacher, God rest her soul, who wasn't very happy with me not being able to solve an equation on a blackboard once. And I just felt terrible for a week afterwards because the whole class was like, it's so obvious, Ben. The answer's so obvious. I just froze up there. So thanks, Anthony, for bringing that up again.
Anytime.
And for all those young kids out there, a blackboard is what they used to write on before tablets and screens and stuff like that.
Chalk.
With chalk. Yeah.
Oh, it's good fun. But yeah, it was just amazing. And again, when we talk about it, this was all in the mix of A1's busy schedule already. So this is like 10, 20%, not even, of his life. And then all the activity going on. And so it's exciting because we're only getting started. And can we at least, before we dive in some other conversations, touch on what we've been working on in the background? I think now might as well touch on it because everyone's individually been doing stuff. So let's tease it out. I'll start with Helena.
Well, we actually did speak about this in, I think, probably the first episode. But
The plan. Now
but
here we are.
these things have now happened. So yeah.
So we're now speaking post. They're edited, waiting for launch.
Yeah.
So this
And
is
I guess what's
exciting.
kept us the busiest is Helena and I have been working on, especially Helena, been working on a hot seat project.
What is the hot seat project?
It's like an evangelization project aimed at the unchurched. So it's aimed at people who aren't coming to church on Sunday or maybe not interested in coming. And it's a video series it's now kind of blown up into, and it's going to be me sitting down having conversations with Catholic priests about putting them in the hot seat and just having deep conversations about issues people have with God, with religion, with the church in particular, answering some common questions. And
You had so many priests come on. How many priests were interviewed in this whole time?
10.
10.
So I
Wow.
spent the last 8 months. I think we started December last year, January. It's been a slow process because I'm, working and studying and mumming on, and then doing this kind of somewhere in the side. And it's just been, it's been amazing. Just the yes from these priests, like the willingness of them to like share their heart and be vulnerable and answer any question. Like the thing that surprised me the most has been that I've always kind of said to the priests in the prep, like, here's a list of questions. Here's what we might talk about. What interests you? What doesn't? Is there anything you don't want to talk about? Like, you tell me, we'll cross it off the list. We can edit it out. You don't have to answer everything. Every single priest has said, ask me anything. Nothing's off the table.
Right.
There's been times where I'm like, oh, do you mind if we talk about this? And they're like, go for it. Like, they were so willing to be in the hot seat. They were so excited to answer the questions. Every priest was so encouraging and supportive and affirming, like, this is good. Keep doing it. What you're doing is good. I'm like, okay, thanks.
Can you touch on, just for people to know what to expect, like some of the questions you asked? Just a few.
Yeah. Just think about your lukewarm friend. Think about your atheist friends, your agnostic friends. What are the most common things they talk to you about when faith comes up? They talk about hypocrites in the church. They talk about where the church stands on certain moral teachings. They talk about the priesthood and how weird celibacy is. Just some of the foundational common stuff, the pushback you hear from people, we're starting with that. That's kind of been the majority of our content. And we're talking about sufferings. We're talking a lot of some deep sufferings in people's lives, about the ache in your heart when you're struggling, when you're dealt bad cards in life, when it seems like God isn't around. Like, how can God be real if God lets me suffer this way? it ended up going much deeper than I thought it was
Wow.
going to be.
Wow.
I'm excited. That sounds phenomenal, really, because I have friends that are in that position, that are in that
Same.
lukewarm position, like people that I love. And I think that is so important for people to have somewhere to go to get those questions answered. Because let's face it, if they're not coming to church, they're probably not going to go to a priest
Yeah.
or someone from the church to ask these questions. So I think that's very important, and I can't wait to check them out. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We don't have an actual date, but sometime in the next few months down the line.
It's pretty
Um,
close. We're in
yeah.
post-production now.
So,
We're editing. And
Very exciting.
We've put together a little trailer that we'll play at the Parousia fundraising night, and then I guess we'll put out maybe a more substantial version of that online as a
Great.
coming soon.
Fantastic.
But it's really about now making sure we get it right and making sure because Helena does dive deep into these questions, we want to make sure that every priest that was on there has seen it as well before we put anything out properly.
But very exciting. All the filming, the filming's pretty much done. The priests are filmed.
Filming is
Yeah.
done.
Fantastic. Wow. Great job.
Amazing.
So that's one. That's a major one. That's taken up 8 months worth of work. But not only that, even Anthony, you did a bit of stuff early on in the year. Is that now done? The little questions with
Correct.
Father?
Yeah.
Is that-
It was pretty much the conversations Father Ben and I have when we go have coffee or lunch. And then Anthony A1's like, let's just put a camera in front of us. Very excited. Did we finalize the name A1? Is it
Holy Takes.
Holy Takes. All right. So those day-to-day questions we have as Christians that we may, I remember one of the questions was, fighters that fight for a profession and they come out and declare their love for Jesus at the end after they've just bashed someone's head in. Like, that for me, that fascinates me.
That's what we talk about when we have coffee.
It is. It pretty much is. So, I mean, those day-to-day questions, not as deep as Helena's, obviously, her conversations, but I still think important questions,
Roughly, sort of, how many sort of topics roughly did you?
I think
10,
we did,
20, that sort of thing?
10 to 15 or
It's
something.
about
10 to
10. 10.
About 10?
About 10, so,
But
yeah.
these are more shorter.
These are more
punchier.
short. I think they're like 60 to 90 seconds, maybe a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Helena's got hers went into the hours of recording
Correct.
each, and then
Correct.
yours in the minutes, nice and short and sharp.
Nice,
which
short.
we need both. We
Yeah.
actually need both.
And there'll also be a little trailer for that on Friday night.
Yeah, fantastic.
And I think what was uplifting about that is that there's a lightheartedness to it as
Correct.
well. Sometimes we'd be a little bit too serious about things. And so with this guy's talent, of course, we were just having a laugh as we were recording these things. So it was pretty special.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
It's important to have a sense of humor. Was it which saint was it that said you can't even be a saint without having a sense of humor? Is it Saint Padre Pio from memory? So one of the saints, but even himself, as he's going through the stigmata, and I remember people commenting, why are you showing off those? And he goes, what? It's hardly enjoyable going through what I'm going through, and we'll have these little comments that is just tongue in cheek sometimes.
And I'd just love to say thanks to Father Ben for, putting himself in that position, because I know a lot of times, priests have a responsibility and they're the shepherd of their flock, and, they can't really, maybe they feel like they can't be too loose like that. But Father Ben was awesome, and, the conversations we always have are always awesome. So, yeah, thanks.
Man.
There's been a couple of times I've had to try and edit out my laughing. I just can't. It overlaps their talking. So, yeah. So that's a good
it's
thing.
such a great priest as well. You give him a compliment, and he's just so humble. He's like, I don't think.
You obviously haven't watched the footage in a while, 'cause it's no one can see me, but it's the bit of, if anyone remembers Benny Hill, it's the look at the camera with the like the little head wobble. There's actually a little clip where Father Ben does some flexing as well, so that's funny too.
Wow.
He won't remember, but I do.
Wonderful.
Father Ben, we've seen you throughout the year. Thank you. Those reflections have been amazing, actually, and timely throughout. They were like good 30-second, 1 minute reflections on the gospel. but you've been also busy with other things as well. You did an interview. There's a whole series leading up to the Eucharistic Congress. I know we've been there. Can you share a bit about what you've
Most
been doing
definitely.
this year? And
So I
what's
think
upcoming?
the first thing that you mentioned were those scriptural reflections, and I tried to get them out as best I could throughout Lent and Easter,
Yeah.
and just keep them sharp, short, punchy, and then leave someone a question or something to reflect on afterwards. So, and they were, he makes all the A1 makes the magic happen. I was shooting these in my room,
Wow.
in my own personal living space. Just send him the raw footage, and then he puts it together beautifully. So they've been doing well. I interviewed Dr. Simon McCaffrey, had an
that was a
in-depth
great
interview with him. And just to show you, like, one of the fruits that can come from something like that, a young woman in a problematic pregnancy approached me, and she was being given some advice from particular doctors, and she was feeling pressured. I put her in contact with Dr. Simon, and she's been immediately put at peace by his counsel and what he's saying. And that was all from the power of what we were able to release.
Look at that.
And so that's just one story, but that's why I believe so much in this space and what we're doing. So I had a great conversation with Dr. Simon, and I'm hoping to do more of those very specific kind of targeted themed long format conversations with other professionals. And then, of course, we've got the International Eucharistic Congress coming up. Did a pilot episode named The Journey with Bishop Richard Umbers, Auxiliary Bishop of Sydney. Hoping to get the Archbishop on soon. And also there's a catechetical schema that they're working on, the organising committee. So there's going to be some academic conversations around Eucharist. So we're currently talking to Dr. Tracy Rowland and Dr. Hayden Ramsey, and I'm going to facilitate a conversation between the two of them about Eucharist. So we're going to be approaching several key figures in the lead up to the Congress, which will be a fairly consistent thing. And we're very thankful at Parousia because we get to collaborate on that.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Which is great.
That's fantastic.
So there are things happening. And then, I went on a mother's podcast the other day, which was fantastic. The Rebel Mother is what it's called. So it's funny. It's just one of those technological things. We forgot to turn the cameras on, so we only had the audio. And so we just released it as as an audio, and it did really well. So so I'm always happy to help out, where others are trying to start up, because it's all good stuff.
Absolutely.
There's room in this space for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think the more we can get good quality content out, the more we should be collaborating and, affirming one another in what we're doing.
It is good to see that. A lot of people launching podcasts, launching little projects, and it's just good to see that the harvest is plentiful, the laborers are few. Let's flood it with all good things. So
That's right.
more people out there feeling called, go for it.
So that's all on the side to me being a priest and the assistant to the Archbishop. So it's been a beautiful run so far.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to a little break soon.
Still to come, we're still working on the concept of just having more devotional prayers, and those things are coming. I'm strong about that. I really think it's a need. It helps me as well. Guided prayer, things like that. That's coming on the channel. And then we've just done a couple of little alternative interviews, like Before the Talk has been quite exciting. So notice sometimes they're very busy schedules. We have a speaker out, and we're trying to make time for them to come all the way out here, and then find time to get them back to venues and lining up with A1. And so we said, well, we've got to film them at the actual talks, and we've been producing those every week. There's a new talk on the channel. And so that's been great. So the talks are still getting out there all for free. But then before the talk, we do a little mini interview called Before the Talk, and that's been fun. And we've had a handful of those, Deacon Harold, Father Ian, and hopefully a few more.
And I love, we make sure that the Charbel and the speaker are sitting in front of the chairs. So as the interview is happening, you see the room starting to fill up with people.
Yes.
And that's been and that came out of circumstance for the first one, but it was a good it was a good look. So
Yeah.
it's good to see, especially the Deacon Harold one. It was a youth night, and it was just great to see in the background was all these young people just coming for this talk. It was really wonderful to see.
Yeah, amen. Now, speaking of Deacon Harold, we've got that's a big series coming out, big piece of content, 40 weeks, a marriage enrichment program, basically.
Yeah,
The
40
greatest-
episodes.
So that's already filmed, and that needs to be now packaged. We're aiming for a launch October 1. That's the goal. So St. Teresa of Lisieux feast day, and every single week there'll be a 5-minute clip by Deacon Harold on marriage. So 40 of them. And that's going to go for 40 weeks. That's super exciting.
And we want to develop an ecosystem around that, so supportive materials and things like that. Deacon will be following it up with, if you sign up to, you can sign up and he'll send out, I think it's an email or some documents to go with it each episode. And I think that's for marriage preparation and marriage renewal. Is it? That's
Both,
right?
yeah. So married couples was its intention, but there's a lot of material in there for those preparing for marriage. And what I love, it's got, is it 25 ways to love your spouse? And there's one for the husband, one for the wife. And then there's 15 ways, 5 prayers for your spouse. And then the emails are automated. So once you put your email in, and this is all for free, you get an automatic email that week for a bit of homework, what to do in your marriage. And we've got audios of those done. And his wife has pre-recorded 40 for the wives, and he's pre-recorded 40 for the men, for the husbands, and that's quite exciting. So every week you get a little email in your inbox, bit of homework that week. It's a little MP3 and some things to focus on that week. And 40 was deliberate because that's a biblical number, of course, but it's also tied into life, right? So speaking of Dr. McCaffrey, but how do we measure the due date of a baby? It's you look at the moment you were conceived and you count 40 weeks, and basically this is a biblical number, and it's so powerful. So Deacon Harold deliberately went for that.
We've been busy,
and still not done yet. There's still Carlo Kudus. Can we touch on that?
There's.
Can we announce that as well?
Yeah, so Caroline Curry, who has the brand Pockets of Heaven, we have developed a children's series talking about the life of Carlo Acutis, digital missionary. And so a trailer for that will be playing at the fundraising dinner. And shortly after that, we'll put it out on YouTube as well as a trailer. Wow. And that'll also launch a Parousia Kids channel.
Wow, beautiful.
You're hearing it first.
This is amazing.
I love that. That's awesome.
That's massive news all coming out this year.
Yeah.
In our 20th year. So.
And then there's also a 10-part series
that's already recorded.
Eucharistic miracles with Dr. Robert Haddad.
Yeah, that's exing. That's already
brilliant.
Oh my goodness! Yes,
It's a jubilee year.
Yeah, it's.
I've missed a lot of Bulldogs games,
but we're going to see with the addition of the prayers, devotions, plus my whiteboard. We're going to be starting to film a bit of that soon, and people will start seeing whiteboard teachings coming out, and then the talks as well. So whenever there's talks out, we'll have them recorded up online. The daily reels are going to keep coming, and the weekly podcast. So it's just, we're going to make sure we flood the internet with some good. With the gospel. So
like and subscribe.
Amen.
You got to add that.
Right. Well done. Please subscribe, because what that does, it's all of that works together. I've realized that subscribing is one thing, then liking, interacting, commenting does something, clicking the bell does another thing, and then sharing does another thing. So all those things, YouTube, it just forces the YouTube algorithms to then keep pushing your content to more. So if you want to help evangelize, do all those things: like it, subscribe, share it, click the bell, comment, do all that stuff. Even if it's just thank you, they all work, and that helps push it. And I think subscriptions, we are closing in on 70,000. Wow. We're at 60 at the time of this recording this week. And if you're not subscribed yet, please do it. We got to crack 70,000 subscribers this week. At the start of the year, we're only at were we barely 20? So 50.
Start of this year,
22,000. 22,000. So. Almost 50,000 subscribers in the last 8 months, and our goal is to hit 100 end of the year. Give us a Christmas present. Let's make it. We want to hit by Christmas 100, and I think we're on track the way it's going. So
God willing,
let's do that.
And I think we've hit similar numbers on TikTok and Instagram. I think we're over 130 5,000 on Facebook, and so they've all been
Yeah.
great growth. And
TikTok's hit 40,000 from nothing. Like we had really.
I know you were, sorry to cut you off, Charbel. I know Anthony was saying before, TikTok is kind of the place where, it's true. There's a lot of garbage there, but the fact that, TikTok, the demographic is, like 12 to 17.
Yeah.
So, the fact that there's 40,000 people on there
that have subscribed, like followed
exactly,
us.
Yeah.
and you get more views than what you have subscribers. So, I think it's promising. That's amazing.
Thanks be to God. And and Instagram's doing its thing too. What is that? 59,000.
Yeah, and TikTok at the moment, as of Monday, is 46,000.
Oh wow! So just over the weekend, another 6,000. That's just amazing.
Growth.
It just keeps growing.
Thank God.
So we've got to be there in the space, and this is part of the call of all baptized. Go out there and spread it, and spread the gospel, and reach as many people as possible.
And those numbers they're not vanity. It's
No.
just a sign of that we're listening, and we're just delivering what people have a thirst for, which is the truth.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to listen to that. It's not growth for growth's sake. It's an indication that we're moving forward.
I like how you said it's not a sign of vanity. I think it's a sign of hope. I think a lot of people look at the online space and think, oh, there's so much rubbish. And there is, and there's so much negative, and there's it can be quite toxic, but we need to be in the digital space. We need to be online. Like the church just recently, as part of the Jubilee year, celebrated a Jubilee of digital missionaries, where they invited everyone into the Vatican, into Rome, to celebrate Catholic influencers, like people who are creating content through storytelling, through music, through the digital spaces, through podcasts. They all flooded into Rome and celebrated the way they're evangelizing. And it's so important. Like it's good that we're here, and it's good that there's so many of us, right?
Yes.
But I think with the privilege of doing work like this, of putting yourself in a public forum to be a witness to Christ, comes responsibility to do it with charity and humility, and like to use it for a greater good, like not to create content for the sake of creating content, to use it, like to be like mindful that, this isn't just the four of us sitting in a room talking, like we're witnessing to the body of Christ, we're witnessing to the church. So the way we interact and present ourselves online should be authentic, it should
Digital
draw people
disciple,
to digital missionaries.
missionaries.
Isn't
Love
that,
it.
isn't
Love
that
it.
so
Yeah.
good?
I love that as a distinction from influencer,
Yeah.
because an influencer, I just come off a series of talks at high schools regarding social media use. And I say to them, and it kind of strikes the kids, it shocks them. Influencers don't really care about you. They care about their following and the reaction to them. And they're trying to influence you to look like them or jump on board with their ideology or whatever it might be. And most of the time it's about endorsement and paycheck and all sort of things. When we're talking about a digital missionary, what we're doing isn't about us. So we don't want, those numbers are not a reflection on any of our personalities. Yeah. They're a reflection on our love for the gospel and us wanting to spread, because we are missionaries. And so when you're telling people to like, subscribe, comment, follow, click the notification bell, that's the first step in, okay, we've got a mission. We're spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ, the good news. Now you guys are going to get all of the content that we're producing, and you have a responsibility first and foremost to see how that measures up in your own life, but then also to start sharing that with other people, not for want of likes and comments, but so that Jesus can actually come into your own heart and change your life.
Amen.
And that's the difference, I think, between an influencer and what we've only started to hear, the term digital missionary. And I love that. I refuse to use the term influencer anymore.
Yeah.
I refuse to use it. Now it's digital missionary, because this is a space we're in.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, talking about where we've all been, I think and Pope Leo was present at that he's been busy. What a year it's been. I mean, it's a year of Jubilee. So more grace is poured out in the year of Jubilee. Our 20th year anniversary. We've got a new Pope. We've got all these things happening. What a year. And record numbers in baptism. We talked about that in the last episode and how amazing that was. And now with all these initiatives, you just came back from overseas in front of 1 million. Did I get it right? 1 million young people came
1 million young people
to the Vatican
for the Jubilee of Youth.
And that's not World Youth Day.
No.
That's just another
Yep.
wow gathering. Tell us how long have you been away? And then we've got to also talk about that moment you met Pope Leo.
Yes.
And what did you share? What did you speak to him about? What did you say? Did he have anything to say about Australia?
So I went over with the Archbishop and about 70 young pilgrims, young adults. Half of them were school teachers. The other half were uni students, young professionals. With the Archbishop and another priest, Father Joe Murphy, and we're there for about 3 weeks. So we flew into Milan, visited all the main churches, basilicas, then Florence, then 3 days in Assisi, which was very special to stay in that town for 3 days, and then to Rome. And we stayed at Domus Australia, the pilgrim house. That was all kind of tidied up and cleaned up and renovated through Cardinal Pell's time. And it was a beautiful time to be over there. And then as the Jubilee week approaches, Rome starts packing out. Subways are full of people, trains. It's just, there's people everywhere. And that Jubilee of Youth was exactly that. It was almost like a World Youth Day. So they had a week of festivities and all sorts of things happening. And one night I'd had such a long day. We're walking in the heat of summer, and I'm like, I'm just going to have an early night tonight. It's going to be great. Can't wait. We've got nothing planned. The guys some of the young ones were going out. Let's have another gelato. I'm like, I'm done. I just got to go to bed. I want to have a shower and go to bed. So that night I chose to go to bed early. And as I do, just last minute check of the phone, and it's a message from the Archbishop's assistant saying he'd like you to accompany him tomorrow to his visit to Pope Leo. And I, am I reading this right? And I'm like, because I must admit, I did know that he was going to have an audience with the Pope, and I knew that was to talk about what's happening in Australia and some things in Sydney and, of course, the Eucharistic Congress. But I didn't think or anticipate in any way that he would include me, at least to accompany him. And so in that moment, I go from being absolutely fatigued and tired to, okay, now I'm wide awake. What do I do?
Celebratory gelato.
So I jumped out of bed. I shaved my head. I made sure I was looking good for the next day. And then we were collected from Domus, and then drove to the Vatican and got in there, and we get through all the security checkpoints. You meet the Swiss guard. They're saluting you the whole time, and up here, and then it's just the wait and the walk through the halls. And these halls are grand with artwork and furniture and statues, and you're spending about 5 minutes in each hall. It's like it's the waiting room. It's like they progress you all the way through until you get to the end of the building, and you see a door with the keys of Peter. Wow. And I'm like, I think I know who's beyond that door. And the Archbishop says, you think? So Pope Leo was a little delayed. So it was just a nice time for the Archbishop and myself to just, I suppose, compose. We prayed together, which was really nice before we had the meeting. And then the door opened, they invited us in, and there's Pope Leo just standing there. And you generally see him in crowds. You see him flashing by in the Pope Mobile, but he's standing there. And I think there was one shot of me walking through the door, and it's like I let the Archbishop walk in first, but there's one shot that the camera captured me walking through the door, and I was like a little kid on Christmas morning. It was just like, and that it caught it. It actually caught it. We might post that photo. Yeah. And I let the Archbishop take the lead, greeted the Holy Father. Then he introduced me, and I greeted the Holy Father and said, "It's such an honor to meet you." And then we presented him with the artwork. The name eludes me at the moment, but of the first Eucharist in Australia, that family that's adoring the Blessed Sacrament.
Beautiful.
So we gave him that as a gift, a couple of books. I went into MC mode immediately. I'm like, Holy Father, a gift from Australia. And then the Archbishop latched on and started explaining what those things were. And then the Holy Father asked me if I'd like a rosary, and I accepted with great joy. And then he asked me if I'd like a photo with him. I said, of course.
Yeah.
So we took a few photos together, and then his assistant looked at me like, okay, now you need to leave. So it looked like I was there a lot longer than what I was. But then I went and shook his hand again. I said, I'm praying for you every day. We're so excited for you in Australia, and I hope we get to see you soon. And then I left, and the Archbishop had his meeting with him.
Yeah. Wow.
So I was just on cloud nine the entire time. I met the Holy Father in that very intimate setting. While the Archbishop and the Holy Father were having their meeting, it was about half an hour or so. So I prayed that rosary that he gifted me for the two of them in their meeting, which is, I think, a beautiful thing. My spiritual director said this to me: whenever you receive a rosary from someone, let the first rosary you pray, that rosary, let it be for the person that gave it to you.
Very nice.
So it's just a nice little thing that I've always adopted, because as a priest, I receive so many rosaries. So before I hand them on to someone else, I pray for the person that gave it to me, and then I'll hand it on.
Right.
So I was just in that moment. And then you don't understand what that kind of visit does to your family, to your community, to people back home. And because I don't have any social media accounts, my face might be all over them, but I don't have any. Days later, when the images start getting released, you start seeing people's responses. I had mates from high school message me, "Is this still your number? Did you meet the Pope?" And it just was like a shot in the arm for a lot of people. And I had no idea it would have that effect on people. You've met the Pope. And I met him, and first Pope I've ever met with that type of intimacy. And I got a really great vibe about him. Walking in, he was very present. He was very calm. He acknowledged me. There was just a stillness to him, a really beautiful temperament to him. So we need to pray for our Holy Father, because he's got a lot of responsibility on his shoulders.
Absolutely.
And I pray that he can keep that temperament and keep that going.
Father Ben, you haven't shared my favorite part of the story. Can you share that before, when you're sitting with Archbishop Anthony and you just had a little chat with him, and what he shared with you, what he said to you? I thought that was really lovely. If you could share that with everyone.
Oh, so I thanked him. There was a genuine expression of thanks. Like, you did not need to invite me today. And he said, well, I've met several popes now as a bishop, and it's always a joy when I get to introduce one of my sons to the Holy Father. So
That's beautiful.
That's powerful.
it was just a really beautiful moment with the Archbishop.
Thanks for
nice.
Can I just say thanks for sharing that story, because I don't know anyone in my life that has had that kind of interaction or would ever have that kind of interaction with the Holy Father. So I think that was an awesome insight, just to see, the process into going to meet him, and how is he a cool guy? Is he a cool guy? Like, for lack of a,
he seems, for everything that I've seen so far, and just even in that short interaction with him, yeah. And there was one at Tor Vergata, which is where they had the vigil, the overnight sleep out, which is what they did in Rome when they had World Youth Day there last time. There was a beautiful moment at that vigil where I love that he came in the Pope Mobile, and Tor Vergata can accommodate over 1 million people. And that's how many people were there.
Wow.
So we're there, we're tired, we're sweaty, everyone's uncomfortable, and then it's announced the Holy Father's arriving. And so he's in the Pope Mobile, and he drives down every laneway and crevice in that 1 million person field so that everyone could get a glimpse of him. And when he eventually got to the main stage area, he got out and they gave him this big wooden cross. The footage was seen around the world. You may have seen it. They gave it to him, and he carried it down a path, which would have been 50 to 100 meters, I'd guess,
Wow.
and then up a steep flight of steps. and he had all sorts of representatives and people behind him following him up. The fact that a deacon wasn't doing that for him, and that I think it was just a real show of strength and youthfulness on his part, that he was able to carry this cross down and up steps, and he stood there holding it. Couldn't have been an easy thing to do. But I mean, God rest them and God bless them, our previous popes. They haven't always been in the best of physical shape.
Yeah.
I know JP2 early on in his pontificate was, and then he started obviously to deteriorate a little bit toward the end. But to see a pope show that type of strength, carrying that cross physically, walking with it, not needing any assistance, and then walking all the way up the steps, turning around, presenting the cross to the million people in the field, to me, that was very encouraging, very uplifting. We've got a pope who, please God, will be healthy and we'll have him for a while. And if what we've seen so far is anything to go by, it's all very promising.
Yeah.
What about the fact that he's American? The fact that you got to speak to him in English? Like, I remember when we were in Rome, we were sitting at the Wednesday audience and he was preaching, and I had my kids and I had Father Louis next to us, and I remember he preached us in a few languages, and then Father Louis looked over at me and he was like, when he started preaching in English, and we all sat up and my kids were like, oh, we can understand what he's saying. And then Father Louis looked at me and he was like, this has never happened before, like a pope preaching in English. Like there's something, I don't know, I don't know what the word is for it, but it was so amazing that, but it's just so different to what I'm used to.
It shows you also the power of language when you can understand someone. And we've only ever, I think, really been given papal documents as they've been translated into English, or you watch the Holy Father give a speech and there's English subtitles underneath, or you're on EWTN radio and you've got the translator speaking at 30 seconds delayed through the earpiece. But now you actually get to just speak in real time. And I think that is going to be beneficial for the universal church, with English, the English language, being proficient in it, able to speak to the majority of people in English. There's going to be a connection there in the Christian world that I don't think they've had ever.
Yeah.
I'm not
That's
sure.
right.
I'm not sure, but that's pretty special. He'll be able to relate to people in a way that I don't think any kind of previous pope has been able to, because of the language.
It is the number one language now, officially, isn't it? English is the most spoken around the world.
I
And that
think
wasn't
so.
always the case. It was,
No.
I don't remember time French was like number one for a while. Spanish was up there, is always up there. But I think now there's, to have English as a first, and that's his first language. Great. And he's a bit of a cool guy if you think about it.
he seems
he's,
like a bit of a people person.
baseball supporter, and how at the games in America, what they're doing, naming, do they have a mascot as well now? They're doing something where they're promoting the Pope because
He's from
his
Chicago.
hometown, yeah.
Yeah.
Chicago.
You know, it's funny. Like, I see these photos and videos of people saying, "Oh, this was Pope Leo 20 years ago in the crowd at this baseball game." I'm like, whose job is it to find this person in the crowd? Like, it seems for the first time, I think maybe because of the English language thing, it's like, I don't know, he seems so relatable and so, so close.
I mean, the Pope's responsibility as the Vicar of Christ is a heavy one, but it's always been Christ that brings people together. So every Pope has been able to do that, but now we've got one that actually speaks our language, and not by way of, he's so relevant, although he is, but it's just because he can speak English, he can communicate messages to us in a way that we've probably found difficult to receive before. And so that's going to be very interesting to see.
And that's a great point. And I think, sometimes whether it be the media or certain outlets may misquote a pope because it's in another language, and when they translate it, they'll be like, "Oh, but no, he didn't really mean this." But now that it's quite transparent in the English language, so I guess.
So it's all the timing again. Glory to God, how look at the time again, this Jubilee year, at a time where we're getting this influx of people coming, new Catholics coming in, more and more interest in the Pope. I think this is one of the most viewed conclaves as well, like online. The increase of online activity as well, the amount of people engaging online. So what an important moment in history and the history of the church right now, 2025, with a new pontiff, with all the media we have. Oh my goodness, seize this moment.
And a very positive thing, because it came, of course, on the back of so much interest in the church.
Yeah.
You had the movie Conclave that came out. You had the death of Pope Francis, God rest his soul. There was just a lot happening, but the interest in it was very positive.
Yeah.
There wasn't much negativity around this. 'Cause generally, when you get this type of, I suppose, energy or eventfulness in the church, there's always something that comes out, and they'll go back to all the old talking points about, the church is resource rich and this and that, and they'll go into things of the past, which of course are relevant and we need to address. But in the moment of such joy, the election of a new pope, it was generally just positive. And I think that's a great thing the Archbishop reported. I think there was a statistic, there was between a 200 to 300% increase in searches for Catholicism online.
Yeah, that's right.
How to become Catholic was a trending question on Google search engine.
This is after our last conversation. This is what's exciting. We already spoke about how I think the numbers are double of last year, which were quadruple the year before. We're seeing record numbers in adult baptisms and inquiries already. Then add this, and now it's top worldwide. That blows my mind.
And that also correlates to some of the growth we've been seeing here locally with Parousia
It's
too.
all coming together.
People are actually choosing to spend more quality time if they're online, more that they want to search things with more substance, more quality than just the usual thing that they may have been watching previously.
Amazing.
And that's why what we're doing is so important.
Beautiful.
So that was my trip to Italy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Unbelievable.
Well, Helena, you also in Italy, but a different month. Is that right? So tell us about that, and what was that event?
That was the Jubilee of Families and Grandparents, I think was
Okay.
So I got to take my two eldest kids with me and my husband, and we were with Bishop Danny, and we got to stay at Domus as well. It was mostly just Rome and Assisi, and it was heavenly. I'd never done a pilgrimage before in my life. It was an amazing opportunity I was afforded, and we had so many priests and deacons in our pilgrimage group as well, and we just got to see the church in a way that I've never seen it before. Like I went to Rome years ago, like in my early 20s as a tourist, not really as a pilgrim, and not when I really had the faith. And it was nice. I went into the Vatican, and that was it. But this was just all churches, and every church was beautiful. Like every church took my breath away, and it was so nice to have my kids there, right? So my kids, it's so different. My two girls, and my oldest one had the headphones on, was listening and taking it all in, and the other one was like, "This is boring. I'm going to go for a walk." But she'd go off and she'd look at the artwork, and I'd see her lighting candles and saying, "Yeah, no, I've got people I want to pray for." She was doing her own thing, and I was like, "The Lord's doing something. He's working in His own way throughout this pilgrimage." It was so beautiful. It was such a joy to see the church celebrating families. The gift of children and the gift of generational families, like from grandparents to parents to children, and how important that is. And it was nice to be with priests and the bishops in such a relaxed setting as a pilgrimage, like to see like the human side of them. My kids thought Bishop Daniel was like so funny. They were like, it's just not what usually you're sitting in the pews and there's a bishop up there and he's got the big garments and he looks so far away and distant, and he's, what's the word, like, I don't know, like untouchable or something. Like whereas my kids were sitting down having dinner and he was cracking jokes and they were laughing, and it was just a whole different side of the church they got to see. So I'm really grateful for that.
That's something they'll remember for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
That's what a privilege to do it as a family.
Yeah.
Now, you weren't the only family there. How many families we're talking about? How many people do we know Was it in the hundreds of thousands? Was
Yeah,
it-
I think they said the Wednesday audience was about 50,000, and then we were there for the Sunday mass, and they said that was about 100,000.
Yeah, wow.
Um,
Again, from all over the world for this.
all over the world.
Is this an annual thing or
It was just for Jubilee year.
just for? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So they're
So the
doing
Jubilee year is doing all these one-off events.
all these
for-
different
Yeah, wow.
Jubilee celebrations. So it's been
You actually made a great point about you went in your 20s to Rome and you went to the Vatican, you did all that, but it didn't have that same meaning as it did now. It's funny because I also went to Rome and the Vatican in my early 20s when I wasn't as deep in the faith as well. And it just made me reflect a little bit right there, thinking, I need to go back and do that trip now, It's Did you feel like the contrast between those two trips was it, obviously you had your family there and you didn't have a family back then, but how was it spiritually going to the Vatican and celebrating Mass in Rome?
So I say that was the BC Helena who went in her 20s. This is the new evangelized Helena. I didn't have much memory of St. Peter's Basilica, but I had this memory of walking in, and I remember that to the right there was a curtain, like a curtained off section. And I remember in my 20s I had kind of wandered around and I was with my sister, and I remember going behind this curtain and sitting in some pews, and I remember staying there. And my sister wandered off and she had to come back and find me. And I remember something stirred in me as I was sitting in that pew. And I don't remember what it was, but I remember I had a journal, and I remember when I was reading my journal, I had written something like, I felt something in there. God, if you're real, can you help me hold on to that? Something along those lines. And then I went back home and I kept living with my life, and maybe within the next 12 months, my conversion had started. And so when I went back, I said to my husband, I have this memory of the curtain. I want to see if it's still there. I want to remember what that is. And when we got there, I found out, I saw the curtain and I knew it instantly. It just came straight back to me. And it's actually a Eucharistic chapel. So it's behind the curtain is a chapel, and it's the Lord. It's an adoration chapel. And I had no idea in my 20s that I was actually sitting in front of Jesus in the Eucharist, and I was talking to him. I didn't even know he was there. I didn't know what the Eucharist was then. And then to come back and be there with my husband and my kids, and to say, oh my gosh, I asked you to hold on to me and you did, and that was unbelievable just to see it and realize that. I was like, oh Lord, he's so funny sometimes the way he works. Yeah.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. You went. Now we've all been overseas, but Anthony, you didn't go to the Vatican but
I didn't go to the Vatican, unfortunately.
Another part of the world.
I went
Dubai?
to the Middle East. I went to Dubai, Lebanon, and Jordan.
Wow.
So
what was the purpose of it? And then tell us some highlights.
So the purpose of the trip was it was part of my tour I'm currently on for my stand-up comedy show, The Immigrant's Kid. So I did shows in Dubai, Lebanon, and Jordan, and stopped in Lebanon for about 3.5 weeks with the family as a bit of a vacation in between as well. And let me tell you, if you can put a vacation in between your work, I recommend it highly.
Yes.
It was a great trip. For me, Lebanon was a very special trip because I lived there for nearly 7 years, returned in 2019, and the last 6 years have probably been the toughest 6 years that country's seen in the last 100 years with, the economic crisis and the port explosion and so the war. Going back, I didn't really know what to expect, but I hear the word resilient get thrown around a lot when they refer to the Lebanese people. We need another word because what these people have been through, and I'm sure a lot of nations in that region, and they just love life every day. They keep nothing phases them. Like I was in the shopping mall and the fire alarm went off. And if that happens here, people evacuate.
Yeah.
Over there, nobody moved. I was in the shop. The lady's like, "Do you want medium or large?" I'm like, "There's a fire alarm going on, man." It just, it was a great trip. It was awesome. My son was born here in Australia, but this is where I believe in the DNA and the genetics of things. Like even him at 2 years old going, he had the time of his life, and I could feel there was a connection to the place. So it was a great trip. Very special trip. I went up to St. Charbel's in Anaya, which it's a special place for me. Number one, I mean, so many miracles have happened there, but also, I don't know if I've ever shared this. My wife and I's first date, we went and had a hot dog, and then we went up to St. Charbel's in Anaya. So it was nice for us to go up there and take our son and, celebrate Mass. And it was a very special moment. So, and word of advice, if you're out there looking for a girl and the first date is hot dogs in church, marry her. Cost you about $6 and, it's beautiful. So, it was a great trip. It was awesome. It was awesome.
How was the tour itself?
Tour was great. Tour was really good. And it's really interesting performing to different audiences because people interact with comedy differently in different countries. Like some places you could go to and you could be like, yeah, they were laughing, but they were laughing differently. It just really varies, and people find certain things funny that they wouldn't find in another place. So the tour was great, very successful, thank God. And
contractually, are you permitted to give us maybe one little skit?
I've been weaving a bit. Do you mean like a joke?
Like a joke? Can you give us a joke from tour?
Imagine it's got to be different there than here because a lot of your material in Australia is relevant.
Yes.
To,
the show
parts of Sydney.
Correct. So the show I'm currently doing, it's the same title, The Immigrant's Kid. I'm on tour in Australia at the moment. It's actually the same title, but it's I was telling A1 this before we started recording. I had to change half the show because the show is about me being raised by an immigrant and now, in result, raising my son like an immigrant, although he was born here. But over there, they're not immigrants. They don't. That's just the way of life, So I had to take a different approach, and that's what I love about my job as well as a stand-up comedian. You can kind of craft things and change things depending on where you are. And I always like to do, local references and stuff to, put the people at ease at the start and make them feel welcome. So, I mean, it's, and for me, this is kind of like coming back to stand-up comedy. I took a long time off doing radio, but, it's great doing stand-up comedy, and I know I've mentioned this in the past. Doing it clean, this is something. Last time I toured, I wasn't working clean. I was, a lot of material was below the belt, but just I had a priest come into my show in Adelaide, and it's great going on stage saying, I don't have to change anything I'm talking about. This is all good. And, people ask me, can I bring my kids to the show? Yeah, bring your kids to the show. So for me, that was a massive highlight. I can see myself, I've grown as a person and in my faith. And when you have a microphone in front of you, and I guess what we're all doing, sometimes, you got to, everyone with a microphone in front of their face may not take this into consideration, but I think we have a responsibility for the things we put out there. You may not be talking about the faith, but it doesn't mean you have to curse and you have to kind of go to places, go to the gutter, So it's been very enjoyable in that aspect as well.
So good. And they all understood English?
They all understood English. Yeah. Thank God. So that was a great trip. It was a great trip.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And Australia. So on tour now.
On tour now.
We got a link. Where do people go to find
I think
out?
all the shows are sold out. But thank you for the.
Well, that's a good
thank
problem.
you. Yeah. So it's a great problem.
There you go.
Sold out.
Thank God.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So most of the shows were sold out, and that's not a brag. You just asked me, so. But it's a beautiful feeling when people appreciate the work you do.
Absolutely.
So
you need bigger venues now.
Yeah. So I still feel like we need to put on that. We were talking about the catechesis and comedy night. We got to get something going.
I think
How was your trip?
So the last time we were together, I was going to Brazil.
You spoke in front of like thousands of people.
Yeah, it was definitely the largest crowd I've ever spoken to. Mothers who pray for their children. What an audience. What was funny was Australia. So I had my tickets booked. So the drama starts in Sydney. So got everything booked, go to the airport. And now 2 weeks before, you wouldn't believe it, I check with the flight attendant, the flight agent, just to make sure everything's okay. Travel agent, yep, all good. No, documentation's all good. Don't need a visa for Brazil. No, Australia's never needed a visa for Brazil. It's all good. So get to the airport, and lo and behold, wait. And they said, oh, yeah, have you got your travel visa to Brazil? And she said, that's true. And the actual worker behind the counter said, I've never had to ask that before, but it's saying you need a visa. Let me just check if that's real. She was doubting in herself because she's never had to worry about it, and said, actually, this is just a new law that's been introduced a week ago. Australians need a visa from now on. I said, well, no one told me. It was a no notification. That would have been nice to know. I checked only a couple of weeks ago and there was no need. She goes, I know, it was only a week ago that happened. You're kidding. So can I just quickly apply for it now and do whatever I have to do? I said, look, you can apply, but it's a minimum of 24 hours before you hear anything, up to 5 days. My whole conference is 5 days, so I'm going to miss the whole thing.
Wow.
So I applied, and I remember going home and then come back the next day, and then it wasn't ready. And then she said, okay, you don't have to come back tomorrow, but check. I checked, and they said, well, if you don't turn up, then there's a penalty fee on the ticket and all that. So I had to turn up. I turned up again the third day and then the fourth day. So 4 days at the airport. Anthony remembers that. But then approval came, and I made it for the last day of the conference, which happened to coincide with the moment I was going to speak to the mothers. I was also supposed to speak to the youth and the fathers. I didn't get to do the fathers, but I got there in time that morning, Sunday morning, and I remember getting picked up from the airport. It was about an hour drive, and then literally not much time at all. Had a very quick shower, got up on the stage, and I had maybe 30 minutes on the stage, and the translator was great, Carolina. I've never done that before, where you speak, pause, wait for them to translate, and then you have to cut a lot out because it's taking double the time to get through the same things. So 5 minutes in, I'm thinking, okay, I'm not going to cover all this. So you've got to be active. I'm not going to say as much as I would normally. So I had to decide on the fly what to cut out. And so that was probably the most difficult part. But thanks be to God, all the hearing is, look, sound bites, one sentence, then another sentence. And then there was a cheer, and then the next one.
So were they cheering for you or for the translator?
I said, I hope you're saying exactly what I'm asking you to say. So who knows? We have to verify that. But I think they got the message, and the crowd grew up to 100,000 by the end of the day. So the final mass was that day. So there were 100,000 participants, but it was about 70,000 at the start of the day when I was there, because this open area. It's part of a big, a priest who started Cansanova is what the area is, and it's part of an order, and he's passed away, the founder, but he would have these retreats there, and he built this huge outdoor area with a huge awning, not seen anything like it, just flat, almost felt like an open airport, and you've got this covering, so that it's 70,000 people just straight out, just like that, and it was great. It was great to see they're all on fire, and so many priests were there giving, locally speaking, missionaries or influencers over there, all in Portuguese. Everything was in Portuguese. I didn't understand anything of it. It was just my little bit was in English, and I was privileged to do that. I got to meet some publishers over there. I got to meet a few bishops, and it was just a 24-hour trip in Brazil.
Wow.
Because it was supposed to be 5 days, and that visa thing ate up 4 of them. But then the plan was to continue onto Colombia, which was my first ever trip there. So those who know, my father was born and raised in Colombia, and I got to meet him there. So he was there already the day before, and I met up with him, and I met some uncles and aunties I've never met before. And it's so weird seeing family members you've never met before that look like your father. And, it's just, it was weird. And again, that was all Spanish and learning. So I've got very broken Spanish. I could speak a little bit, un poquito, and I can master the same tone, same sayings over and over. But it was good. I went to a church called Saint Charbel's in Barranquilla in Colombia. They don't do the Maronite Mass; it's the Roman Mass, because after one generation, it just didn't stick. So they kept the Saint Charbel name, but they're doing the Roman Rite Mass. And the Our Lady of Lebanon's in Bogota. That's the only Maronite church in the whole country. But I got to see some beautiful churches there as well. Saint Pedro, is it Peter Clavier? I think it is. He's over there. His body's there. And there's bones. You can see him at the base of the altar. He died there. He was a missionary and died there. It's just beautiful. Got to beautiful country, beautiful people. And that was my experience. And I got to see, probably the most moving was to see the place where my parents lived as a young newlywed couple. They were teenagers. My mum was 14, dad was 17 when they got married. And they lived right next door to a church. And my mother, she couldn't speak a word of Spanish. She spoke French. And she went into that church next door and she basically dedicated her marriage to Our Lady. And then every day she went to Mass and she learned Spanish by going to Mass every day. Oh. And she ended up reading at Mass within 6 months in Spanish. So, and it was so cool to see that very spot. That was moving for me, pretty emotional. And that was back late 1967 is when they were there. Just amazing. So it was good to see. So it was personally,
That's
so
awesome.
It just adds to my, this year, this Jubilee year has been extra special.
Still not over. Still plenty of more space for amazing things to happen.
I know. But coming back, and then we had Father Chris Ayla. That was fantastic. And Father, we should share that. I mean, we had him at the cathedral. Beautiful night that was, full cathedral. And he only gave a few talks in Sydney, but just very well attended everywhere. He launched his book. It was his international launch of his brand new book, Sacraments, Introduction to the Sacraments. But how powerful was that night? He spoke in St. Mary's Cathedral. Just very moving.
Standing room only.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Standing room only that night. And I think for hours afterwards, he was signing books and talking to people. And we had to bring out the torches at one stage. It was just, we had no light. And it was signing books with torches.
Wow.
What a great night. So well received. And against the backdrop of our beautiful cathedral.
It is amazing.
It's a beautiful thing.
So beautiful. And huge range of people, ages, young and old. And that was very, very well. That was an amazing little trip. But then we had the sad news of Trent Horn, who was supposed to come, and his wife was diagnosed with brain tumor. So we had to cancel that. It was literally days before, right? Days before I got the news. And so he couldn't come, knowing that, just announced. But thanks be to God, he's just released a video, and we probably should link an update maybe on that, for so many people praying. She's come through, she's had the operation, she's okay. But good news on that. But God willing, we can probably reschedule Trent Horn. So Trent, hope you're going to reschedule. We'll see when the time is right. But we're all still praying for Laura, and that was again another surprise. But thanks be to God, came through. And then we had the Shroud Conference, which was great. Oh my goodness, just Father Dalton, wasn't he awesome? And filmed a couple of his talks, and that was awesome. And then going after that, straight to Philippines and Papua New Guinea, then the Philippines. So it was great. I joined Deacon Harold, and we did it was a clergy conference or retreat. And that was the first time I've ever led one. I've never done that before. And with Deacon Harold, and Bishop Donald Leipert invited us, and just beautiful. The people there, beautiful. Very still some sections where we went very primitive, actually. So in the main cities, they're sort of developed and English is spoken across the country, but then their native tongue is Pidgin, which is it's not quite English. It's another language. But then within that, there's the local tribes, and they all have their own language. There's 800 languages spoken.
Wow.
But going in and being with the priest was amazing. The culture is beautiful. I don't think we've had a welcome like that anywhere in the world. So people are still living in huts, in some of in the highlands. Their homes are just literally with a bit of straw. Their roof is just leaves, and they're happy, And we're talking when it rains, it pours, and I don't know how they stay dry, but just a beautiful experience. But a country that's barely been Christian 100 years, barely 100 years. Amazing how it's 93% Christian.
Yeah, I was reading somewhere like per capita, it's the highest in the world or something.
It's an eye-opener so the missionaries have done great work there. Although there's still more prayers for some of the tribal things. I know there's sorcery, killing still happening now. Wow. So we've got to pray for those people in the mountains who are suffering. I got to meet one victim who survived, and that was hard to see. But she was in hospital, and a shout out to Sister Lorena, who's been there for 48 years, and she's helping these people. And I've got a little clip actually we recorded. I've got to see if we can do anything with that. But she shares some of these stories, and how over 300 victims were saved in her time there, but they were basically going to be burnt alive, for some bit of witchcraft and sorcery killing and all this sort of stuff. So there's still a bit of superstition as well going on, and it was important that we learnt all this while we were there, and were able to incorporate that in some of the later presentations to the priests. So God willing, those priests who were fired up, and they gave us a hug individually after appreciating the presentations, invited us back, and God willing, we'll see if we're going to be back next year. We're looking at a catechetical series and try to find leaders there to continue the mission. So it's very exciting. And Blessed Peter Tarot will be canonized on October 19 this year. And it was an honor for us to be there. The start of the priest conference was on his feast day. So the mass that day was extra special. So he'll be a saint, canonized saint.
Wow.
Yeah, in 2 months. Amazing. But then the Philippines, went there as well. That was our 5th trip now in the Philippines. And we spoke to parishes, schools, large parishes. We went to a university, also a business group as well. So, the Philippines, different challenges, but there are challenges. Again, the faith is strong. They're very culturally Catholic, very devotional, beautiful. But there's still definitely a need for formation. I think that ongoing formation to go deeper, and they're hungry for it. And so I think there's a bit of work there. We might be back there too. So our second largest audience, I think, is the Philippines. So thank you to everyone watching from the Philippines. We love you and praying for you, but keep the ongoing formation and share these videos, because they're one of the few countries in the world that is still, you could say, is a Catholic nation. Some of the shopping centers, they stop for the Angelus. So you're in the shopping center.
Oh, that's beautiful.
On the PA, everyone stops and they pray the Angelus.
And in some of those shopping centers, they've actually got chapels as well that you can drop into and pray, and a priest will come in and say mass sometimes.
Yep. So imagine that. You want adoration, go to the shopping center.
That's beautiful.
It is. So just a little snippet of what is possible in the culture.
Yeah.
You can dream a little. Can Australia one day get to there? Can we one day see public witness like that in some shopping centers? Wow. Can only dream.
You got a friend that works at Westfield, don't you?
Yes.
I'll be I'll be a chaplain to Westfield shopping centres.
You could just imagine Father Ben on the PA. I love it.
There's so much to be thankful for, and so much going on. But I mean, anything else going on? Generally speaking, what's the plan rest of the year?
Packing CDs in your table to international.
Been amazing. Been amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I think we estimated 25 countries now. Yeah, I physically visited for Parousia, so it's just been beautiful.
But we've got a big event coming up, don't we?
Huge, yeah. The big dinner this Friday, at Lemnos in Belmore, and believe it or not, I mean, this is last minute. It's a shout out, last minute. There's a few spots left. If people book now, we could squeeze you in. But we want to get as many people there as possible to celebrate with us. So we'll put the links below. But if you can, we may have just a few tables left that we could squeeze in these last days before the big night. And yeah, Father, you'll be joining us. It'd be great to have you there.
I'll be
Helena, I
joining.
know you'll be there. Anthony's got other things on that night, but that's it. We'll
Apologies,
pray.
I'm not in the
He's on
state.
tour.
He's on tour.
So
He's on
I
tour.
would have loved to be there. Apologies, but I'm really excited. Sounds like it's going to be a
It's
magnificent
going to be
night.
amazing.
How
Yeah.
can we incentivize people to come? What can they expect at this dinner? What are we doing?
Yeah. So, I mean, normally, you have nights like this where you have 3-course meals and things. Well, this is going to be a 6-course meal. So we've got, before the event starts, so the appetizers and hors d'oeuvres, and then there's mezza, and then there's the entree, main, then dessert.
Lebanese hospitality
Oh,
at
it's
its
going to be
finest.
awesome.
Yeah.
So lots and lots of food. You're not going to run out of any food. So everyone's going to be well fed, and drinks as well. Don't have to worry about any of that. That's all sorted. But then we'll have Dr. Edward Shree as the keynote speaking, and I would say very few speakers in the world, I would say, have what he's got. So he's a Bible professor, but he can speak to those, the highest of qualified biblical scholars and give them something new. He studied under Scott Hahn, so he's got all of that biblical background that he's learned. But he also he's got a doctorate in Mariology, so he brings something unique in that side. He also is a co-founder of Focus, so the largest college ministry in the world, and they have the Seek every year. So he's always at every Seek, and so he's working full time now, or at least part time, at Seek, at Focus, and then he's also a guest professor at Augustine Institute, and then he's also got his own pilgrimages. He goes to the Holy Land and Rome. He's a 2 or 3 a year, and then he also gives talks, popular talks just for young people. So he could speak to high schoolers, young adults, beginner to advanced. Very few speakers have that overall gift that he can speak to pretty much any demographic, marriage, no problem, the dating, theology of the body, scripture. And he's written, 30 books. He's got about half a dozen programs. He's the brains behind Symbolon. So really, he's done quite a lot in his career, and excited to have him.
Why is it important for people to support Parousia through a fundraising dinner? I know you do this every year, but why do you do it? Why is it so important to the ministry?
Yeah, because as you know, the ministry started way back with the CDs and DVDs, which is now, let's face it, in its dying days. We're still going because we're trying to be as loyal to that first format as possible. But as long as the machine still is there, we'll keep it going until that dies. We'll keep the CDs alive, but we're probably looking at the next year or two where we won't be doing it anymore. So migrating all that digitally, and so thinking about all that content that's going across and making it free. So we want to ramp up the content and ramp up the quality, ramp up the variety, and that's not going to be put behind a paywall. It's going to be for free. So if people can assist in any way, that's the more they can assist, the more we can do, and the wider the audience we're reaching. Hopefully, we can reach all ages. So the kids' YouTube channel is going to be quite exciting. In addition to that, we've been publishing more than ever. So books weren't really part of the start 20 years ago. Now I think we're mainly mainly publishers, and we've got about 3,000 different books in this room, and programs. Bible study has been super popular, and the events are not going away. They're ramping up too. So local as well as international, local speakers as well as international speakers, local tours as well as international tours. So things are happening, and that content is just also like casting the net far and wide and giving people real depth and real meat.
Well, if they're here watching this, I'm sure they follow what Parousia does, and I think that's a great point that you made. It is free for them to consume. So if you are in Sydney, maybe it's a great way for your donation towards Parousia for your year of free content.
Yes.
So that's God bless you. I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry I can't be here again.
We're sorry, but thanks. Anthony's been a big part of it this year, and I'll be sharing a little bit about how we met on the night and how God's put us together. But we're preparing a bit of a highlights reel about what's gone over the last 20 years. 20 years. And so just let that sink in and what is to come. I'm very excited. And there's a whole new generation of young leaders, who've been impacted by this work. And now, now we've got even parish priests who have been priests for some time now. So now they've passed their 10-year anniversary as a priest. And now, we're talking our next round of bishops potentially who have seen the growth of Parousia. And I'm quite excited about where God is leading the next phase, new families, new marriages, new priests, vocations, religious life. It's all exciting, we will have auction items as well. So we've got, I can share with you a St. Charbel's piece, thanks to Bespoke. We're going to auction that off. It's custom made for this with crystals and things on there. A Last Supper piece that they've made, that'll be auctioned. We've got raffle prizes. So the major prize is Harvest are donating a return airfare basically anywhere in the world on Emirates. Yeah, so
wow,
take your pick. So up to the value of $3,000. So that's going to be that's there as a raffle prize, and we're putting out a Parousia pack as well. We're going to have $1,000 Parousia raffle prize and a bunch of other prizes donated from very different ministries. We've got so much to share. So I want to thank all those people who have provided lots of prizes. There'll be a silent auction as well with some items there. And of course, the networking. What I've found over the years, people wanted to speak. So we're going to build in some time, space. So before the event, there's going to be a good half hour before formalities begin, have a good half hour break between the meals. And then there's going to be basically a couple of hours after where people just can network and meet, and it's going to be wonderful. So get dressed up. It's not a black tie event, semi-casual, semi-formal. Let's go semi-formal.
Semi-formal. If you have semi-casual, Father Ben will rock up in his Bulldogs jersey, you got to.
You could wear your Bulldogs
jersey. I'm spoiled for choice with my wardrobe every day.
It's going to be great, and people have been impacted over the years. Very excited. So thanks to all the people supporting us and on the night, and I just want to really celebrate. Kevin Bailey's coming from Melbourne for this, and he was there, as people may remember. It was 11 years ago when Scott Hahn told him to get in touch with me, and here we are, and it's part of the growth. So just sharing and reflecting on the blessings God's given this, and all on a shoestring budget. It's just amazing, and just we'll keep going. We'll keep going. But also Ed Shree is on tour at the same time. So Dr. Ed Shree will be at the Culture Project dinner the night before, and also be at St. Paul's Winston Hills on Saturday. He'll be at Camping College during the day, Reevesby Workers during the day. So he's speaking to parents, he's speaking to the public, young adults. Then he goes off to Wollongong on Saturday night. Then he goes off to Melbourne on Sunday, does 2 talks there. Then on Monday, he'll give 4 talks. So he's giving 12 talks in 5 days. So it's pretty impressive. So the day he arrives, he'll be speaking that night. And then, his last day in Melbourne will be 4 back to back to back. So that's the way we like it at Parousia. And reach as many people as possible. So very exciting. All the details are on our website. So hope people can make it. I have to give one more shout out. We are sold out of the Italian pilgrimage, the Eucharistic. So we're sold out. We're full. Praise God. That's with Deacon Harold and Father Colin. And then in January we've opened up now Mexico. So we're going to Mexico. Father Joseph Gideon is joining me. Oh, wow. Ruben Cazada, the guy that answered that phone 20 years ago, that told me, it planted the seed to manufacture the CDs in Australia. He's going to be, he's an expert on Mexican history. And so we're going to be going and seeing where Blessed Miguel Pro was, and that whole Cristiada War, like all the different martyrs, the Mexican martyrs, will be, of course, going to Our Lady Guadalupe. And so that's going to be in January. You'll be back before Australia Day. So that's the goal. So please, it's all available now. Again, links below. Thanks to Harvest as well, putting that together. So very excited, looking forward to that.
Can I give a quick shout out as well? Last week when I went to do my show in Adelaide, I was invited by the guys who run the men's group at St. Maroon's Church. That was my childhood parish, my first ever parish. And I'm still in touch with a lot of those guys, and they have kind of, there's a fire in that parish at the moment, and the men are doing an amazing thing. I mean, everyone is doing an amazing job, but as a kid, this was kind of like the best parish to be a part of. It was every essence of the word community, you know. Where they used to do talent nights and basketball competitions, and you know, everyone would congregate in the church hall after to mass to have tea and coffee. So the guys over there are doing an amazing job of you know, relaunching that and bringing people closer to God. So just a shout out to the guys from St. Maroon's Church in Adelaide.
Fantastic. Things are happening everywhere. Beautiful.
Yeah.
We still haven't shared Anthony's big news.
Yes.
I've got another one on the way.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Well, my wife does. I don't want to take credit for that, but
Baby number 2.
Yeah, I mean,
Beautiful.
tell me, how is the transition from what? Because if there's anyone to ask, you're the
It's
expert.
double as hard. From 1 to 2, it's double as hard.
Then what about
So
2 to
easy.
8?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's double as hard, actually. No,
Yeah, it gets easier.
no,
right?
that's right. It sort of caps after 4 onwards, doesn't get much harder than that.
Yeah.
Smooth sailing.
3 is the hardest.
Okay.
And then 4, it's like no harder than 3.
Okay.
You know, that's my
All right.
humble
Yeah,
opinion.
so
When should you?
keep us all in your prayers, November, God willing. So we've picked a name. If it's a boy or a girl, we don't know. It's a, you know, it's a
It's
surprise.
going to be a
so.
Charbel if it's a boy, I'm sure. Or at least a second name.
Listen, I
With
won't
the way
say
you
yes or no,
meant.
but it was in the short list of
Okay.
names for sure. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
A3.
so-
A3.
A3.
I'll bear it.
That'll be a confusing household. That'll be a confusing household. But yeah, just keep us in your prayers, and we're excited.
Yeah, we'll invite. How old is
Raphael,
firstborn? Yes,
he's 2 years old.
2 years old.
So-
Mate. Amazing.
Yeah, and only speak in Arabic, which is weird.
Is that right?
Oh, mate, it's like he's a little immigrant. And
He's an
immigrant's
crazy. He is an immigrant's kid for sure. So no, it's we're excited. We're excited, and thank God everything's healthy and on the right track.
We're
So
praying for you. And
thank you very much.
just we did joke about this, but I wonder, as a comedian, there's typically dad jokes in most households, but the dad jokes coming from you as a comedian, I wonder if they are a bit different.
Oh no, they're
They're not
still
as lame.
terrible. No,
Are they still
they're
bad?
still terrible and
You know.
lame, and I'm actually quite worried for my career that these dad jokes will some way find their way into my
Yeah, you can't
set.
do that.
I can't do that. I can't do that.
That'll be the end of your career.
But dad jokes are, I mean, you know, dad jokes are great.
As a dad, I love the dad jokes.
Yeah.
And as I get older, and as my kids are getting older, we're joking that they're closing in on what are called grandfather jokes. What are worse than dad jokes? Grandfather jokes. So I think as the closer we get,
Are you entitled for dad jokes, being a father?
I think I am. Yeah, I'm a spiritual father, so I can, but I rarely do.
some of the
really
jokes
do.
the priests put out there, it can be pretty lame.
No, I'm anti-joke. Anti-joke.
Anti-joke during mass.
Anti-joke in liturgy.
Okay.
So from the sign of the cross to the sign of the cross, it's all about God.
They're the bookends.
Yeah.
I
That's
love
for
that.
me. That's
no,
for
I
me.
love that.
Yeah. Others are different. That's all right. Jesus chose 12 very different men. So,
Yeah.
people, it is what it is. I got plenty of jokes. I'll tell you a joke over a beer and some dinner, but not in the liturgy.
Time and place.
Yeah.
Very good. So next time, hopefully we'll be back not too long from now.
God
said that
willing.
last time,
Yeah, we
but-
can't. We can't
Yeah, last time was like
do 3 months ago. Yeah, we can't do that.
Well, you all went overseas, so that's
Yeah,
what
no.
happened. I stayed here
Well,
waiting for you all.
Yeah.
Anthony's been waiting in that chair for 3 days.
It's actually a comfy chair, so I'm happy.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks. It's another round.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure sitting here with you all, and God willing, we do it again very soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, A1, all good?
All good.
All right. Fantastic.
Book for the event this Friday before it
right now,
fills
please.
out, please.
Yeah. Take your last chance. Join us. Saliba. It's going to be an amazing night. And if you can't make it, pray for us, please. Pray for the night. We want to, again, celebrate the last 20 years, but also share what the next 20 years, God willing, is in store and what the Lord is doing. So we'll put up highlights from the night as well if you can't make it in weeks to come. Pray for us. Thanks again. Another round table. If I can invite our chaplain to give us a final blessing as we close off for another Parousia roundtable.
Wonderful. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. We give you thanks, Almighty God, for all your gifts and benefits, you who live and reign world without end. Amen. The Lord be with you.
And with your
And may
spirit.
Almighty God bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Go in peace, everyone. God bless you.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thanks, everyone. God bless.